Abhinav, good evening.
Good evening, Shankar. How are you?
Wonderful meeting as always.
Thank you.
It's thank you so much for taking out time. I know it's been a long day, heavy day, but thank you so much. Deeply grateful.
Pleasure is all mine.
Abhinav, we'll break this show in 3 parts. I think initially I would like to ask about your journey.
Sure.
You are somebody who travels 3 months in Canada, 3 months in Australia, 3 months in US, and the remaining 3 months in India.
Sure.
Tell us how this all started. School, college. How did it start?
For sure. So, okay. So my name is Abhinav Sharma, as Shankar mentioned. So my journey has been, I would say, I always say it as a journey of innovation, a journey of transformation, as well as now a journey of leadership. So my journey started in my schooling days. So I will not say I was a geek, but yes, definitely I've been an intelligent kid throughout my schooling. So I'm a CBSE curriculum student. And I am officially a CBSE topper. So during my schooling days, I officially topped the board exams. Used to be the board exams in grade 10 and accordingly grade 12. But one thing I was very clear when I was doing my schooling, I have a very strong analytical and logical mind. So I always wanted to be an engineer. So I was very clear, and I'm talking about 2005, 2007, where still the access to information was very, very limited. Internet penetration was very low. I remember the days we used to go to the cyber cafes where we used to pay 60 rupees per hour to check the results and even to download question papers. So I've seen that era. I like to add the profile of my father. So my father was a senior mechanical engineer. So he worked throughout his life on hydroelectric power projects. So since my childhood, I've seen massive machinery. For example, Bhakra Nangal Dam, Pong Dam. Bhakra Nangal Dam, India's highest concrete dam, and Pong Dam, India's longest earth-cum rock-filled dam. So I've seen those kind of machines, and that I would say catapulted my decision to become an engineer, but definitely not in mechanical, but more on the side of convolution of electronics and I would say computer science. So I ended up completing my bachelor's of electronics and communication engineering, and as any Indian kid would want, the placement kahan hoga, placement kaise hoga, so I also ventured onto that route. So जैसा इंडिया में होता है the myth कि आप 10th कर लो जिंदगी सही हो जाएगी, 12th कर लो जिंदगी सही हो जाएगी, B.Tech कर लो जिंदगी सही हो जाएगी, अच्छी नौकरी ले लो जिंदगी सही हो जाएगी. So I've done
जो
that.
कभी होती नहीं है.
So you take one step, the next step is a notch higher from the previous step. So I got placed with Infosys officially as I would say one of the youngest. I was probably barely 20 years. I got placed with Infosys as a systems engineer. And I still had close to 1.5 years probably of my B.Tech still left, so 5th semester. And in that, I'm talking about 2009, okay? So 2009, I had a package which I still see that recently what IIT graduates are getting in 2024, I had got that way back. 15 years back. Then again,
that speaks good about you or bad about the current IT graduates?
I don't want to comment, but I think it's more about the geopolitical situation that had. So the world goes through crests and troughs. So right now I think it's more of
some tough times.
And that's where I think education and overall profile building and how you venture out holistically, which I'm sure we'll talk more in detail. That comes to help. But fast forward, definitely. So that analytical, logical ability helped me. But then Destiny had other plans. So Destiny ventured me out from my core engineering mindset and brought me into education. But because of that analytical brain still staying inside me, so I ventured into the international education domain with analytical and engineering mind. And that propelled, I would say, and I can assure you that propelled my growth much faster. I was able to grasp concepts. So you can imagine I was the guy who didn't know what is a visa, how does a visa process work, and now I've traveled length and breadth, and over the past 15 years I've helped or consulted more than 50,000 students. And pure international education students across 45 destination countries of the world. So there's South Asia, there's Southeast Asia, there is Asia Pacific, there's Europe, there's Latin America, and there's North America. So when people say about that, hey, I know about Brazil, so if they know about that, Sao Paulo is the capital. So when I say Sao Paulo, I know what happens in Sao Paulo at the grassroots level and across all fronts. So international education career happened, and I would say that one core aspect that I would say helped me or that added a different tone to my personality was international education opened my perspective culturally, that how different cultures can work together, how that adds more to you as to your individual personality, how you become a well-rounded individual. Now whatever NEP talks, so I had learned that way back in 15 years back. That what is a holistic approach, how do you become a well-rounded individual, how do you become a whole person. I want to add here that now today when we talk about holistic approach, if you read books on I would say Greek literature, you would say in the ancient Greek times, there was already a concept of liberal education. There was already a concept of holistic approach. So if you see Greek education curriculum, they always used to teach trigonometry, astronomy, and they used to mix it up with dancing, music, poetry, and all that. So they had those concepts like 3,000, 4,000 years ago as well. It's not like something erupted in 2024 and all of a sudden we are talking about holistic approach. So fast forward through my journey across different countries, I've been able to, I would say, collect an expertise, not experience, but expertise that speaks from grassroots all the way to the top level, that how, if you want to grow as an individual, what are those ingredients and what measure, what quantity you need those ingredients as an individual, as a student, as a professional, as an academician, what you need to venture out in those markets. And that exposure, which I would say, very fortunate to get that, and with entities, institutions funding my travel, to be honest, because I'm definitely going to Switzerland to attend massive conferences. When you have budgets of over 5 lakh Indian rupees,
you need funds.
Yes, you need funds, but let's say there are entities which are inviting you and they are covering your costs. So I think that's a very fortunate part at a very young age of 21, 22 years of age when you get those opportunities. So now 15 years down the line, so I would say I've become a trailblazer in international education with accolades, top level accolades, industry certifications, and I've not stopped learning. And that I always convey to my colleagues, to my peers, never stop learning. You can't have something that you learned in 2009 be relevant automatically in 2024. So right now, if I remember, I said yesterday as well when we were talking, 75 certifications probably I have gathered over the years, and I still keep adding those. So yeah, I'll just take a pause.
That's been the journey. Fantastic, great. When we spoke about liberal education, Greek mythology and Greek philosophy and how they used to, is that one of the differentiating factors why the West has done so well over the last many decades, why India has been back? Are we really picking up? Are we people who actually understand liberal education the way it is, how important it is? If you were to, let's say, spearhead liberal education in the country, are you happy with what Ashoka, Flame, Sage and some others are doing right now? Or is there much more to it?
So, very, very good question, and I would say very relevant question in today's time. So, I've seen liberal education from, I would say, from my personal experiences working with, I would say, top-notch faculties and departments in the world. So, again, from Greek fast forward, so US education system or American education system has always been the flag bearer for liberal education. The Ivy League universities, Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Columbia, all of them, they've always like, we are doing the best in liberal education, we are mixing psychology, we are mixing computer science, artificial intelligence with philosophy, you can pick up credit in humanities, you can mix it up with biomedical engineering, they've been speaking about it. And then I want to add, in the UK or in the Europe, the greater Europe, there is a pact called as Bologna process. So under that there is University College London, UCL, or let's say University of London, and then universities in Netherlands like University of Amsterdam. So if you go to University of Amsterdam, you'll see liberal education is at a very, very different level. Coming to Asia, so China, so there's Duke Kunshan University, Japan, there is a university, NYU's Shanghai campus, very, very good example of liberal education. So I would say, now coming to India, I'll come to that part later on. So liberal education is a philosophy. So I think the mistake that we always make in discussing liberal education is we think that it's a curriculum that we just need to put it down the line, people will just read books.
So many majors, minors.
So many, yes, you just have a recipe, you mix philosophy with humanities and you add biomedical engineering, you add maritime biology, and then you get a perfect liberal education curriculum. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. So it will need a top-down approach, and it will also need at the same time a bottom-up approach. So there is no fixed answer that how it will work, because India is a very complex education system. Similarly, in other countries, I was talking in the morning with my colleagues as well. So there are so many permutations and combinations in India, because India itself is 29 countries, not just states.
Not just states.
So 29 countries rest within India. There are different political ethos, there are critical ideologies, then there are socio-economic factors. For example, something which is relevant in Bihar might not be exactly relevant and applicable in Delhi.
Sure.
Something that works in Mumbai or with Mumbai students may not work directly with somebody sitting in Siliguri, Assam. So you can have a liberal education curriculum that is developed in Delhi and you go and implement in Meghalaya. You'll face challenges because you have to go by the law of the land. You have to go by what's needed on the land. What kind of skills are needed in Meghalaya? What is the shortage? What is the shortage ratio that we say in our profession? And then you devise curriculum. So coming now to the Indian perspective, I think and probably that we have still not understood liberal education. What we are trying to do is copy from the Western world, as I gave a few examples that what is happening in the US, what is happening in the UK, Greater Europe, what is happening in the Greater Asia, even in the Oceanic region, let's say Australia and New Zealand, and we are trying to implement that straight away. So NEP have been very closely associated with national education policy, no doubt as a genesis. It's a very accurate, strong step in implementing liberal education, or let's say a greater holistic approach to education, and it speaks about that how you can mix and match credits across different disciplines, how you can make studies beyond disciplines, no longer interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary. You don't no longer have to call yourself that I am doing BTech civil engineering. It speaks about going to the approach of the US, where first 2 years as a student I have a liberty. If I come to Bachelor of Engineering program, I can just have general electives and general subjects, and probably at the end of third year I may say that okay, engineering is not for me. I'm very good in literature, I'm very good in mathematics, I want to become a statistician, I want to go into, let's say, pure business or management. So that is possible in that curriculum, because that curriculum has traversed more than 200 years. Okay, our curriculum, even I would say, and you know very well, our curriculum is coming from medieval times, gone through so many changes.
7,000 years.
But the present curriculum is driven by the British, and it has not changed. NEP again is a step in that direction, but still a long shot. In 4 years, I don't see it getting changed, and what has been happening over the last 150 years. So the macro and the micro needs to be fixed first, rather than answering the question that what is the scope of liberal education, because it's an entire ecosystem, and I spoke about it yesterday as well. So the ecosystem is built of, you have your curriculum, and then you have your qualification, then you have your I would say attributes or skills that you learn as part of that curriculum and qualification, and then ultimately is connected to employment.
Correct.
So if your qualification is not making you employable, and if it is not giving you the right skills, you will not become employable as well at the right level. So that's where I spoke that
we already have so many challenges today with employment.
Correct. So I've seen examples. I'm telling you. So we are an organization. As an organization, we are an organization of close to 900 people who work in 20 different countries. And when I interview new candidates, sometimes I'll give an example. There was a candidate who was MBA HR, and the first question I asked was, what is HRM? Okay, one straight short answer, and the candidate was not able to even explain in one line what is HRM.
It's done for 2 years.
Yes, so they just said human resource management. So that's a full form. But what is exactly managing human resource?
Recruitment, retaining.
So that's with the gap. And the person is coming with a full 2-year degree, and the mark sheet say 82%. Okay, so that's where I would say the macros and micros need to be fixed. So liberal education has a huge potential, huge scope, but unless and until the academia, government, industry, these three pillars join hands together, and they unanimously agree that this is the curriculum that we will follow, and if you do this curriculum with X percentage and you come out with Y skills, I'll give you Z as a package, and then you have your career. But these dots need to be connected in a linear manner. Yes. So right now it's somewhere in the space. So X is here, Y is here, Z is here, and we are trying to forcefully align them. It's not going to happen.
One last question, because of the paucity of time. Last 7-8 years, a lot of students, Indian students, this is in spite of the fact that you have a Flame, an Ashoka, a Chindan, Sage now has liberal education started by me, you have Shivnadar, you have a lot of these universities have come up in the last 10-15 years. Most of them didn't exist 15 years back.
Sure.
In spite of that, so more than 30-35 corporatized universities in India trying to offer the best curriculums, Manipal, Jaipur and so on. In spite of that, the craze to go abroad or the ease of doing these twinning programs or joint programs, or you'll have the exact numbers of people studying outside India today.
Yes.
It's tens of lakhs.
Yeah.
You see this going up. Why is it happening? Is India not the ecosystem it used to be for the last so many decades, or have we suddenly awoken to the fact that we never were a good ecosystem and now we need to become? Your thoughts on that?
So again, there is no fixed answer to this question, to be honest. So statistically, I can give you some stats, and then I'll speak about liberal education. You took some names about the Indian universities, and I'll come to that how we can, because we are sitting right now at Sage University, and what we can do for Sage around liberal education. You as a person have started the Department of Liberal Education, and that's, I would say, a right step in the right direction at the right time. But as I said, it just needs to align the three forces. So now, statistically speaking, 1.8 million students is the outbound mobility from India per year, or let's say the last year, 2023. That's an official stat that I'm sharing. 18 lakh students from 29 states of India have gone out, and this is not pure Canada, pure US, pure UK. They are spread across 120 countries. So countries that are, as I would say, where you won't even think, for example, Zimbabwe. Students are going to Republic of North Korea. People are going to island nations. People are going to European island nations. For education purposes. And so there is an official data. If you go to Google, and any individual can go. If you search on Ministry of External Affairs Rajya Sabha data, you just write it on Google. You'll get a report that from 2018 to 23 per year, what has been the trend of Indian students going abroad. Now, India as a market, as a study abroad market, because I am a professional, I've studied this market for 15 years. It always moves in a circular motion. Okay, some day or some months or even years, a particular country will always stay as on the top.
Correct.
So till few months ago, before I would say India and Canada had a political row, Canada was at the top, and Canada was taking nearly 250,000 students.
Correct.
250,000 Indian students were getting visas
Every year.
From India to Canada. So this is the number who's getting the visa. Official visa approval rates are in the bracket of 60 to 70%. It means 30% were getting rejected. So you can extrapolate that. Let's say 380,000 were applying for the visa. Now you further extrapolate that, because the conversion rate is 60% from visa tuition fees to visa process. It means nearly 600,000 would have paid tuition fees. Now you further take it to the application process. Probably Canadian institutions will receive 1.2 million, 12 lakh applications from Indian students, and these are unique applications. And from that, the 250,000, and this is just Canada. Speak about Australia. Australia right now has somewhere around 600,000 international students, and nearly 16% of that 600,000 are Indians. And that number goes up, goes down. And what drives the crescent trough? Visa policies, socio-political and geopolitical things. For example, does that country provide post-study work rights? Can I work part-time in that country? So if you speak about Indian mentality on going abroad, there is a very, I would say, niche percentage which is purely going for gaining skills, gaining high-quality education. I want to study a top-notch institution. I only want this particular degree. I only want this particular program. And I would say that audience is not even more than 10%. So if 1.8 million is, just keep 10%. 90%, they are going for a better lifestyle. Or settle there, and these students come from the lower middle class, the upper middle class, and now there's another strata that has come that is not even upper middle class, that is not even lower middle class.
Government is not funding people to go abroad and so on and so forth.
So there is a government scheme. So if you go to a public sector bank, there is a scheme called Vijay Lakshmi scheme. So what is the fundamental thing to get a loan? Collateral. You must have property, you must have an FD. But rural students or students from weaker backgrounds, sometimes they don't have collaterals to borrow. So 7.5 lakhs you can get loan without collateral. So these are the options. Now speaking about so again, this point I'll connect straight away right now, that there can be opportunities where we can bring those kind of experiences, curriculums right to universities like Sage. And I as a professional, because you have started this liberal education wave here in Madhya Pradesh, so we can enter into an official arrangement, and we can bring foreign universities to sign up a training arrangement with Sage University. Let's say we can do a batch of
these are foreign public universities.
Foreign public universities which are high ranked, which have a legacy of 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, and also which have, I would say, a proven track record of generating high quality alumni, high quality individuals. And that kind of experience, if we bring it to central India, that would be amazing. And twinning, so there are three words like twinning, joint degree, dual degree. So I think training is the easiest to start with, because then you don't have much of the paperwork and a lot of steps to do. So masters, we can have a 1+1 training, so students can do first year masters at Sage, next 1 year probably they can do it in New Zealand University, they can do it at a Canadian University, and statistically 65% to 70% of financial saving is achieved. So if you were to pay 10 lakh rupees in Canada, by this mechanism you just pay 3 lakhs. So if you and you get that similarity, and you get those access to rights like post-study work opportunities, you get access to that exposure, you are studying that curriculum, you get access to that faculty. So I think as a start point, liberal education as a concept still I would say is a very naive stage, and a lot needs to be done. International collaborations, micro-credentials, and strict implementation of NEP. These three factors will ensure that liberal education sees brighter days tomorrow.
Fantastic. That was wonderful. Thank you. I wish we could go on and on within this paucity of time. Thank you so much, Abhinav, for this show.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much.
Look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.